Last night I was able to listen to a lecture by Dr. Jordan Peterson and a woman who was also a psychiatrist and a co-professor at Harvard. They were discussing a study that they did, or she did, on what happens to the mind and how it affects the body when a diagnosis is given. She said, if a diagnosis is given in a negative way, the immune system is actually compromised. Our mind tells our body how to respond. If a doctor should say you have cancer and it's going to be a long haul, that is a negative type of diagnosis. If he were to say, well, we have cancer, but it's going to be curable, it's a small thing, it's not going to be that long a trip, we're going to make it, we've done this before, it's going to work okay. That would be at least a diagnosis with some hope, and your body and your mind would respond a little differently. She said a person could say, this man is gullible and impulsive. Both of those things sound a little bit negative. But if you were to say this man is trusting and decisive, both of those are virtually the same, but they have a positive approach rather than a negative approach. And our mindfulness about what we hear affects what our body does, and we respond to the negativity that comes into our lives. For instance, if you were taking an IQ test and 70 was considered the norm where you're cognitive, in other words, you're able to learn, but you were a 69, which is considered unable to learn, it's only 1 point difference. But if you were told that you did not reach the cognitive level, it could change your whole life in a very negative way. So we need to be careful how we speak to others and how we respond to what is spoken to us, because as the old song says, it ain't necessarily so. You don't know whether something is going to be long-term or short-term. It can be an easy way to go or a difficult way to go. And the Lord determines all those things for us. I heard her say also that you can either have an inconvenience or tragedy. I told you about dropping the popcorn off the top shelf, and the popcorn lid came off, and there was popcorn all over my kitchen. Well, I got a dustpan and a broom and cleaned it up because that's an inconvenience. My son had a jug of tea with a leak in it and didn't know there was a leak. The entire refrigerator was covered with tea, and he had to clean out everything and then clean the refrigerator and clean everything in it, put it all back. That's an inconvenience. That is not a tragedy. When we have an inconvenience, we need to say, thank you, Lord, this is not a tragedy. When we have a tragedy, we need to say, thank you, Lord, that you are here to help me through this, because he is. We have been given word from God, and in our mindfulness and in our body response and in our heart, we know that he has plans for us, and he's given us a hope for a future. God bless you today.